His horse and his cattle are his only companions. He works in the saddle and he sleeps in the canyons, waiting for summer, his pastures to change. And as the moon rises, he sits by his fire, thinking about women and glasses of beer, closing his eyes as the doggies retire. He sings out a song which is soft but it's clear, as if maybe someone could hear. Good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James? Now the 1st of December was covered with snow, so was the turnpike from Stockbridge to Boston. Though the Berkshires seemed dreamlike on account of that frosting, with 10 miles behind me and 10,000 more to go. There's a song that they sing when they take to the highway, a song that they sing when they take to the sea, a song that they sing of their home in the sky. Maybe you can believe it if it helps you to sleep, but singing works just fine for me. So good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane? By day, empty and cold, only to say, lo and behold, deep in the night, down in my dream, glorious sight this soul has seen. There's a well on the hill, just can't kill for Jesus. There's a well on the hill, let it be. I don't build no heathen temple where the Lord has done laid his hand. Now there's a well on the hill, let it be. Everyone's talking about the gospel story. Some shall sink and some shall rise. Everyone's talking about the train of glory. Long, long time till it gets here to you, baby. There's a well on the hill, just can't kill for Jesus. There's a well on the hill, let it be. I don't build no heathen temples where the Lord's done laid a hand. There's a well on a hill, let it be. skies has to stay behind. Still he knows how to ease down slow. Oh no, everything is fine in the end, and you will be pleased to know the sunny skies hasn't a friend. Sunny skies sleeps in the morning. He doesn't know when to rise. Closes his weary eyes upon the day and throws it all away. Looking at the snow and trees that go outside my window. Looking at the things that pass me by. Wondering if where I've been is worth the things I've been through. Ending with a friend named Sunny Sky. Well, I'm a steamroller, babe. I'm bound to roll all over you. Yes, I'm a steamroller now, babe. I'm bound to roll all over you. I'm gonna inject your soul with some sweet rock and roll and shoot you full of rhythm and blues. Well, I'm a cement mixer, a churning urn of burning funk. Yes, I'm a cement mixer for you, babe, a churning urn of burning funk. Well, I'm a demolition derby, yeah, a hefty hunk of steaming junk. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Good afternoon. Well, it's not really a good afternoon, is it? Yeah. Guess it's hard to say terrible afternoon. Well, it's a terrible day, and I wish I didn't have to be here. And I wish you didn't have to be here either. I guess you didn't have to be here. You could have done something else. I think it's interesting that nobody ever really likes funerals, yet they still go to them. You had the option to not come, but you came. I'll suggest that you didn't want to come, that you needed to come. That you figure out by now you've figured out, haven't you, that your life isn't about your money or your possessions or your stuff. It's about your relationships. And when somebody you care for has passed, you look at each other and you say, we need to go. And so you come to this place of sadness and sorrow. It takes courage to do that. I thank you for that. And I want you to know that your gift, there's no value on that. That's priceless. Your decision to come to this hard place, to be here for the family, will not be forgotten. I haven't introduced myself. My name's Jeff. I am not of any particular importance. I'm wearing a suit because they suggest I do as respect to the family, but I'm not a minister or a pastor or a priest or anybody. There's nobody special. Nothing good going on here. And I don't want to be here either. I have learned some things, though, about services like this. Solomon said once that it's better to go to a funeral than to a party. He said it's better to go to a house of mourning than to a celebration. He said because there's more to be learned. Yeah, he's right. And these things you learn from Dan's life, these will be important to you. And they also will be priceless. So in exchange for your gift, we'll give some of those things back to you. I didn't sleep much last night. I imagine you didn't either. This is a hard place to be, and I always ask for a little help. So if you would join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we are here today to celebrate Dan's life and to mourn his loss. We feel at this time both the beauty of his life and the pain of its loss. We never really thought that love had a price, and here we are paying it. And it's a heavy price to pay. And Lord, we would ask that you would be here. We know that you have promised that where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, that your Holy Spirit would be here to offer peace and comfort. So, Lord, I'll take you up on that if you would not mind, and be here in this place of sorrow and suffering, and give us courage and give us wisdom. And Lord, may the words that I speak and the thoughts we all think, may they be acceptable in your eyes. You are the rock. You are our Redeemer. Amen. All right. Well, it's hard to put a whole life onto a one page, but we have to start somewhere. Dan was born on October 14th, 1962 in Abilene to James Hall and Margaret Carrico. Being a military brat, he grew up and went to school all kinds of places along the way, including England and Italy. He served in the Air Force as an aerospace ground equipment mechanic. 6 years, I'm told, went to college for 2 years. After his discharge from service in 1986, he spent many years as a heavy equipment operator in the construction industry. His strengths in his job and work ethic led him to many supervisory positions as the general foreman, a man who was both respected and hated at the same time. He was blessed with 3 sons of his own and lit up when he got a chance to talk with any of them as they got older. Through ups and downs, they've always been a light in his heart. He met and fell in love with Jessica. His only regret from that was that his co-workers started to realize that maybe he was a nice guy and not the scary one they thought. They were joined in marriage, actually a paper signing ceremony is what the Jess described it as, October 24th, 2015. Signing papers to make it official in the presence of friends and family, and maybe you were there at that time. He eventually adopted Jessica's youngest, Gracie, on November 17th, 2017, though all 3 of her children were special to him. He was on the road a lot, and he even had pictures of the family in his truck, so even though he was gone a lot, they were always with him. Jessica's children, not only the only kids special to Dan. To this day, there are many numerous kids, as we would say, who are in and out of the house, stopping by to see Ma and Pa. Any kids here? All right, raise your hand. A few, all right, yeah. Mm-hmm. With grandkids now coming along the way. Now, if you knew Dan, you'd know that he loved to ride this 2011 Harley-Davidson Fat Bob motorcycle. Didn't that? Now, they say that a guy and his dog look the same. That would be, I think, true with motorcycles, right? Wouldn't you say that that is the epitome of Dan, that motorcycle? Yeah, yeah. I don't know if Bruno and him have a relationship like that, but does he look like Bruno? Brutus. Does he look like Brutus? Brutus is getting gray. All right. Jessica's son, Chance, was tickled when he finally got his own, just like Dan's, and they were actually on the same assembly line together at that time. And Dan is even officially legal. He was signing up for motorcycle classes after 40 years of riding anyway. Grateful for having shared his life, his wife Jessica, sons Matthew, Robert, Richard, Chance, daughters Morgan and Gracie, grandchildren Emily, Evelyn, and June, sister Veronica, countless children who called him Pa or Dad, even though he actually wasn't their father. Preceded in death by his father James and brother Dennis. Well, that's the official story. You may have to add to it as we progress through the service today. So, one of the things we know about Dan is that he liked music, listened to The Crow a lot, and what he liked about the music was not necessarily the beat, he liked the lyrics. Lyrics were what made him really enjoy his songs. Sometimes he'd look them up online or on his phone to figure out what the lyrics were. So that's how he enjoyed his music. So these songs are especially important to listen to, not just for the music, but for what they're saying. And we're also going to ask that you might share a word. Now, nobody really likes to talk in front of people. I get that. But if you could just think of a word you would use to describe Dan, that'd be great. And to give you some time to think about what that word might be, we'll hear this first selection. right. Who has a word for Dan? Compassionate? No, you're good. Compassionate? Yeah? Protector? Giving? Genuine. Gentle giant. That's 2 words, but that's okay. 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 Loving. Go ahead and say it.
We all know it.
Asshole, right? Yeah. Put good in front of that. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Best one you'll ever meet. Yeah. Any other words? Stubborn. Crazy. Friend. Okay. I have some other words I might add to that myself. Some other thoughts that I've had a chance to think about for a day or so. And of course, you'll have a chance to tell some stories. Some of you are muttering words that you're not going to say, but there's stories about those that you'll get a chance to share later on after the service is over. You're going to meet up at the Red Eye, is that right? Okay. So after the service, that's where you'll convene, but we still have some more things to talk about. And we'll do that after this next song.
I'm in love with an angel, heaven forbid. Make me a believer with the touch of her skin. I go to hell and back with you, stay lost in what we found. Worlds apart, we were the same until we hit the ground. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm weak, maybe I'm blinded by what I see. You wanted a soldier, but it wasn't me, 'cause I can never set you free. So fly on your own, it's time I let you go. I'm in love with an angel who's afraid of the light. Her halo is broken, but there's fight in her eyes. Walls are built to keep us safe until they're crashing down. Worlds apart, we were the same until you hit the ground. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm weak, maybe I'm blinded by what I see. You wanted a soldier, but it wasn't me, 'cause I can never set you free. So fly on your own, it's time I let you go. Walls are built to keep us safe until they're crashing down. Worlds apart, we were the same until you hit the ground. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm weak, maybe I'm blinded by what I see. You wanted a soldier, but it wasn't me, 'cause I can never set you
Well, they say that statistically that 60% of people who go to a funeral don't really know the person. They're there to support other people who are there. Even if you know the person, you don't know all about the person. You don't know everything in their life. It's like you're the main character in your story, and there are people there for the first couple of chapters, and then they go, and then other people come in. So really, it's hard to know the entire life, so there's always things you learn at a service. If you knew Dan in the early days, you knew that he was in the Air Force, pretty much lived all over the place. And then when he got out, he became one of those guys stamped with the old school. He was an old school guy. He worked for Q3 for a lot of years. He was a foreman on the natural gas lines, usually smaller crews, 3, 4 people. And he was the guy you didn't want as your foreman. They all hated working for Dan. He was a hard ass, and he would yell at you. Now, he wasn't afraid of doing the same work, but he was just miserable working for the guy. It was like being in boot camp. And what you learned later on is that you didn't realize that you were actually in foreman boot camp, because a lot of guys who worked for him for a period of years then went on to become foremen themselves. And they would say, I really hated working for you, but I learned a lot from you. So the word I didn't hear is teacher. It's one of the things they did. He was a guy who was super intimidating and liked being that way. He was mean and grouchy and standoffish, and life was going well in that role. He liked having that persona till he ran into the head of the HR department at the same company, and then the facade started to crack a little bit. His flat stomach started to become more rounded in as Jessica started filling him up. And then one of his buddies said, you gotta start wearing sunglasses more often. Why? Because people can start to see your smile lines. And he said, Jessica, you are ruining me. People now think that I'm a nice guy, and he didn't like it. He was a guy who had things he liked, things he loved, things he hated, things he was good at, things he was bad at. He liked watching those tough man shows, the Alaska survival shows up on the north part of the world, and he liked watching Family Guy and American Dad. He liked mile marker 92. So apparently this is a story, I don't know if I'm going to get it right, but somebody said, they threatened him or whatever, and he said, well, just, mile marker 92 is where he was going to dump the body or be dumped, right? And so anytime it came down to some sort of an argument, one way or the other, that would come up. Well, mile marker 92, that's where you're going to find me. In fact, he had some sort of discussion with Jess, and he said, well, just dump me at mile marker 92. And she had just found out that you can take the ashes of somebody cremated and turn them into a diamond. So she said, heck no. I'm burning your butt and getting a nice rock out of the deal. Yeah. He loved his image. He hated being found out for what his real person was, his softy inside. He liked Crow. He liked the lyrics to the song. He was surprising that way. He was a deeper side that you wouldn't think of at first. He liked and studied those kinds of things. He would have, jokes, but there always would be like a meaning behind the jokes. He liked Southern Comfort, and then he liked Crown Apple on Ice. And then after having those for a period of time, he liked repeating himself over and over again and mumbling until people said, stay off the Crown Apple. Enough for you tonight, old man. He was a person who did not really mind giving you his opinion. He didn't mind getting in your face. He didn't compromise. He was bad at that. If you didn't like what he had to say, well, that was too damn bad. He was a person who would not mind yelling at you or getting inside your space. He was a person who could then step back, collect himself, listen, and then maybe throw a wrench and then get back together again, right? He always was tried to connect, although that was difficult sometimes for him. He was a person who loved his family, and that family was much bigger than just his immediate family. People would come to the place, and this is what it'd be like. He was on the road a lot, so he'd be gone for a week, and then he'd come home for just a day and a half while he slept and then got up. And while this was happening, so Jess would make all kinds of food for him to have when he would be gone for 1 and or 2 weeks. So she would make chicken, she'd make tacos, she'd make steak, she'd make ribs, she'd make enough to feed an army. And then all the family found out, of course, and they'd come home on the weekends, and they would eat up all the food because there was food for the army, and the army would eat the food. And she would say, whatever you want, and there was always that welcoming, right? So when I say provider is another word to describe Dan, that's also true. Because the cost was never talked about, at least not to you. Have whatever you want. This is your house too. Open the fridge, take what you want. Sometimes they took all of it. So then he'd go on the road with lunch meat and sandwich bread. But that was okay, because he liked having you there. He was a dad. He was a provider. He hated you. I didn't mind you using the tools, but you better put them away. Pet peeve of his, not putting the tool. He had a big Lester building, and hold about 6 cars if he could get them in there, but it was all full of all of his stuff and scattered around, and he loved to wrench on some things. He loved to work, and he loved to argue as he worked. He was a person who was good at work. He'd get up early, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Means he'd go to bed early. So if you wanted to catch Pa, you better get there early before he went to bed. And a lot of times the kids, well, don't let him go to bed yet. I want to say hi to him. And he'd give you a hug. Rarely. But if he did, it meant it. And what he was saying in this was that he loved you. Now, think about that. You wouldn't probably call him a loving person, right? That's not the persona he would like you to have about him. But love in action is providing, it's kindness, it's acceptance. Everybody deserves a chance, he would say. You might screw up. There might be words. He would give you respect. He would demand respect. This was the relationship. He was hard that way. He was like that big, maybe like rock you got in your backyard, this big, intimidating, hard rock that's in the way. And it's rough, and it's unyielding, but it's also heavy. It's also solid. It's also stable. It's also reassuring. And people were drawn to that. Chance had the nickname the Washington Gigolo because girls liked him. And not all those relationships worked out so well. And then when the relationship was over, they'd still keep coming over because who cares about you? I like Dan. I like your dad. And the family, thanks to his hard work, the family grew. He was a person that would teach you kind of like fables or parables, right? And these were jokes, but they were also, he would tell them not just to be a joke, but to teach you, right? So I looked this up on the internet. It's out there, right? A bird's flying in the winter so cold the bird froze and fell to the ground into a large field. Now you're nodding because he probably told you that 1,000,000 times. While the bird's lying there, a cow comes by and poops on him. I'm cleaning up the language. This is being recorded, okay? As the frozen bird lay there in the pile of dung, he began to realize that he was actually now warm. The dung was actually thawing him out. So he lays there all warm and happy and soon begins to sing for joy. And a cat is passing by, hears the bird singing, comes to investigate, digs out the bird, and promptly eats him. And the moral of the story: not everybody who dumps on you is your enemy. Not everybody who gets you out of it is your friend. And when you're in deep, keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Now, he would tell that. He would tell that, right? Because it was a joke, but also he was trying to teach into people, right? As a dad, I mean, I'm a dad. There's a lot of dads here. You realize kind of early on that you are not up to the task, that you are a flawed young person given a baby, and you realize that you are not up to the task. How can you raise a person when you yourself are just figuring out about life, and it's difficult? I think we all think it would be nice to be nice. And Dan was not nice. This is what a nice person says. Well, whatever you want to do, you go ahead. It's your life, go ahead, live it. It's easy that way. But Dan is not that person. Dan's a person who gets in your face and challenges you on that. What are you doing that for? This is stupid. Listen to this story. Get a grip. Get your head out of yourself. Right? And why is he doing that? You're not his kid. Why does he care? Because he loves you. And you know, I think in this world, there's the dad you're born with, and then God kind of keeps giving you dads in your life. These are big, unwieldy, heavy stones, unyielding, intimidating blocks that are in your path, and you may stumble over them, or you may use them to step up and get to a better place, and that's why they're there for you. And why are these people out there? Why is this a common thing or a common enough thing? Why do we run into these unyielding, providing, surface, gruff people who are there to help you? Well, they're made after their Creator. You saw it. God, everybody is created in God's image. I tell you what, you don't want to mess around with God. Intimidating. Everything you read, people fall on their face. I have no desire to go meet him. I will fall on my face and be afraid. He is unimaginably powerful and loving, who knows me who I am, who understands that I am a weak and failed person, and who understands that everybody deserves a chance. And so he sends his son, who is called the rock, which I'm free to stumble over or step up on. And this has been the way it is for a long time. Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, and if you don't like it, well, just too bad. That's the way it is. So I don't know where you're at in your life. I have stumbled many times. Do not be fooled by the suit. Many days I do not want to get up in the morning because I am afraid, and I look at the mirror and I am ashamed of who I am. But that's okay, because I have a Father who cares about me enough to get in my face and offer me words of encouragement, and those have changed my life and may help you on your journey in life as well. There is a dad shortage in the world today. A surprising number of children are born into the world whose biological parents simply do not care. And that is both a need and a challenge to those of us who are called. We have one more song to play, and then we will give you some instructions as you leave this place. Okay. That is about it for here. You're all invited to go up to the Red Eye and use the banquet room. That's the north doors. Children are welcome, but they got to stay in that banquet area, so you're aware, right? And all of this stuff is again being gathered up to the front. We're going to open the doors, and then the family can take, the motorcycle and everything else. Unless you want to leave it. No, it's fine. Okay, it's money. Okay. Well, again, thank you for coming. If you can make it to the gathering at the Red Eye, well, please do. There will be interment later on at some future date when that cemetery for veterans is available, and maybe you'll be able to go to that. But if you can't do either of those, I just wanted to again thank you for your attendance here right now and the gift of your presence to the family. And let me send you forth with this. As you leave this place, may the living Lord go with you. May he go behind you to encourage you, beside you to befriend you, above you to watch over you, beneath you to lift you from your sorrows, within you to give you the gifts of faith, hope, and love, and always before you to show you the way. Go in peace.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would